Okay, day two of O'Connell Gate. Uh, just you know, obviously the news last night that O'Connell's the guy and not Harbaugh sent shockwaves through the fan base, and I'm gonna try to keep this one quick, but I'm already seeing so much of the hate on Kevin O'Connell, the hate on the hiring because it's not the guy that some of these people wanted, the Harbaugh hypers. Um, and it's like I got into the Harbaugh hype a little bit myself, but not at the expense of like if it's not him, I'm gonna just rage and hate on everybody whoever the actual hire is, and hate on every other candidate. I suppose I should have expected to see this. I suppose this is not something that I should take with surprise, but man, like just the vitriol, like the and not just like not even just at the O'Connell hire, just at the ownership and at the GM, the like people comparing it to compare like we lost out on Harbaugh. If this is as bad as losing that NFC Championship game. What in the hell are you people on? We didn't lose out on anything. We chose another guy. And from the reports that Harbaugh basically didn't even think he had to really interview, like he was just going to walk in the building and they're like, "Oh, thank God you're here. Take this coaching job." Like, no. It's like he has to, just because his last name is Harbaugh and he's got a lot of notoriety and he's got a track record that's a good track record, doesn't mean he's just guaranteed the job as soon as he walks in the damn building. And just I'm already it's early February. The guy's not even officially hired yet, and I can already see the future here because we've seen it with we've probably seen it with coaching hires too, to a degree, but we haven't obviously had a head coaching hire in almost a decade. But you see it with player moves and draft picks and stuff. People in the fan base, they get their minds so set on one guy, and then if it's not that one guy, they turn on whoever the guy is, and they root for the failure of the other guy. They root for the failure of if you don't get the draft pick you want, whoever they draft, you're rooting for them to fail. And maybe they fail, maybe they don't. Like, it's gone both ways. Or just they trade for someone who you don't want. They sign someone who you don't want, like Kirk. I mean, there's been a lot of that. A lot of people just didn't want him to begin with, and so they're just raging. But like, are we really gonna? Are these people really gonna be this way? And hell, there was even a little bit of this with the GM situation when, even though everything points to Kwesi being our number one choice, there's this segment of the fan base that just insists that he was the fallback guy and that we really wanted Poles, who ended up in Chicago. Obviously, Bears fans certainly have bought into that bullshit, but it's like, no, that's not how it is. I don't know if there was like a one absolute guy. Like they had their second interview candidates, and then Harbaugh slipping in here in like the last week. So, did they always have one guy who they were going for? I mean, it sounds of it, Kwesi was very much an O'Connell guy from the start. Like when he finally got the job, like that was maybe might have been his number one guy. It's not up just to him to make the head coaching hire, but we didn't lose out on anything. Like there was and even not just like fans, like media people putting this stuff out there. Like this is such what a fucking terrible day for the Vikings. What a letdown. What a bad turn of events. Like, why? You don't know. We don't know yet. We don't know about Kevin O'Connell. We don't know if he's going to work out as a coach. There's certainly reasons on both sides. And you hire a assistant coach, coordinator who has not been a head coach. You don't know. Some of them work out. Some of them don't work out. Some of them who you can have a boring hire that works out. You can have a splash hire that fails. We don't know. But the problem is going to be that there's a segment of this fan base now that's going to just hate on this guy for his whole tenure here unless he wins like a Super Bowl, maybe then they'll have to submit. But man, this is going to be annoying. This is going to be so annoying. And this would be the case even if Harbaugh didn't pop in to this scenario in the last week. Like if we had hired O'Connell, within days after firing Zimmer, like if we had been in that position to do that, there'd still be people who are like, if they start off 0-2 next year, they're going to be calling for this guy's head. That's just what these people are. These people just want everybody fired all the time, no matter who they are. That's why I was so so against like the fire Zimmer crowd, because it's like, well, you want everybody fired all the time, no matter who they are. But yeah, it's already getting annoying. The whining, the whining. Like, okay, it would have been neat to have Harbaugh. I might have even picked Harbaugh if everything was equal. I might have picked Harbaugh over O'Connell, maybe. Obviously, O'Connell wowed him in the interview. They did the second interview, wowed him there. Sounds like he was incredibly prepared, had lots of thoughts on the roster and where the team should go. And it sounds like Harbaugh was kind of just walking in the building like, "Hey, I'm Jim Harbaugh, hire me." And maybe that's all it takes, like when you've got a track record like he does. But I mean, I kind of prefer, to me that speaks of, one guy who really wanted this job and is like, I'm really going to prepare, even though it's in the middle of a playoff run for his team. I'm really going to prepare. I'm really going to go in and go after this job. And the other guy's like, well, if I get the job, that's cool. But I mean, it's like, I can go back to Michigan anytime. Whatever. So I want the guy who wants to be here. I'm sorry. Like when it comes down to it, like I want the guy who wants to be here. Same with the GM. Like I want the guys who really want this job and really want to win here. And it sounds like O'Connell fits that bill, and Harbaugh probably wasn't fitting that bill. And I certainly suspect that Harbaugh wanted to have a lot more say over everything. O'Connell's coming into this as a rookie coach with a rookie GM. Like he's obviously not going to be like a tyrant, and he's going to they're talking a lot about collaboration. Well, I'm sure he's going to be very willing to do that. And you hear stuff about where it works with the Rams is they're very very collaborative over there. Like McVay, people are ripping O'Connell saying, oh, he doesn't call the plays. Well, it sounds like he's incredibly involved in the game planning, and McVay really relies on him. So, like, he obviously plays a crucial role over there. And based on the coaches off the McVay tree to this point, it seems like these guys have been pretty well prepared to be head coaches if those jobs come available. But man, are we really gonna do this? Are we really gonna have a big chunk of the fan base just whining the whole rest of the offseason and into next season? Like, oh my God, if only we had a Harbaugh. We could have had Harbaugh. Instead, we're stuck with this guy. Before we have any idea if he can coach. And you know what? If he ends up being a flop coach, then maybe you can look back, years later and say, oh, well, we should have hired Harbaugh. But we're so far out from that. Like, it's just going to be an insufferable period. And it's like it's we've seen it with draft picks and other personnel moves. Fans of the team rooting for the failure of certain people because they didn't want them in the first place. Like this guy could be a great coach, or he could be a flop. We don't know, but you got to give him a shot. You got to give him a chance, because this is what everybody wanted weeks ago, was bring in the young, modern day offensive mind. Well, we did that, and people are still mad. It's like they wanted that, and then they get teased with this Harbaugh thing, and then they're like completely throwing out what they've wanted for months. I mean, or years even. People have wanted Zimmer out because, we want an offensive guy. Well, now we've got one. And people are mad because of like a brief flirtation with Jim Harbaugh. Like, I'm I'm sorry that we didn't make the splash higher. It would have been fun. Certainly would have been entertaining. I think probably we would have, a higher ceiling immediately, maybe. But this is they're clearly going for like a long-term hire here. Like they're not, and I hope I know that means that even if they have a little stumble out of the gate, coach and GM, if they stumble a little bit at the start, it takes them a little while to kind of, work into what they're doing. I think we have to be willing to give them the shot. But there's already so many people who aren't willing to give the coach the shot because they wanted the other guy. They wanted the big name. Like people mocking the Vikings, like, oh, they're turning down the Vikings. No, they're not. We didn't offer him the fucking job. We interviewed him. So what? Just because you interview a guy doesn't mean he's guaranteed the job. And the sounds of it, he wasn't like as committed to getting the job as O'Connell was. So I'm fine with this. I'm fine with them going with O'Connell. And I'm fine with it, even regardless of what the plan is, for this offseason now and going forward. Are they going to kind of pull back a little bit, in terms of like we're going for it full on for contention, or are they going to pull it back a little bit? If they do, okay, that's their call, and we'll see how it works out in the long run. This is not going to be a situation though where the final word is going to be written on this guy, in 2022. It's just not going to happen. And I hope this fan base can just get over it. Just get over it. You wanted Harbaugh, fine. You wanted him because he's a big name. He just might not have been a good fit. Even if they had hired him, he might not have been a good fit. We got a guy who's at least he, is an offensive guy. He comes from an organization that's been very successful in recent years. Coaching tree's been very, very good. Guys have won quickly. LaFleur won quickly. Zach Taylor won quickly. We'll see what they do with the quarterback position, but man, give the guy a shot. Like, just give him a shot. I think he's going to be a good coach. I think he obviously is a guy who is very determined to succeed. He's not just, he wasn't just like, hey, my last name is Harbaugh, give me the job. I like the fact that the guy really wants to be here. And, just give him a shot. That's all I can say is just give him a shot. These people who are already just, ruining the day that we passed on Jim Harbaugh, like, it's not comparable to like losing an NFC Championship game or a Super Bowl. It's just not. It's a decision made in. If we had hired this guy right away and then Harbaugh became available after we'd already hired him, like what were people going to say then? Or were they I don't know, man. I think we got a pretty good coach. We got what we wanted. Let's just roll with it and see what happens.